Shalom. First and foremost, all praise and glories unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua, Ba'ashem Rachakwadash. Double honor to our apostles, the bishops, the elders of the great millstone, and greetings, salutations, blessings, much love unto you elect. Shalom unto you. Your brush required with a video. And this on your left, what you just saw and what you're watching here, fair use, fair use, fair use. This is not for monetary gain or value, simply for educational purposes, okay? And it says, my sons don't need their father, I got them, right? And then it says these boys don't stand a chance, right? Shaking my head. And why is it because you see her coming in, she dancing and twerking, and the kids is dancing and bopping and twerking. She got all boys. And it's like, how do you raise sons like that, and you really struggle to, and you don't have the qualities that were put in you to give them the balance that they need. Okay? And the actions that they're showing are showing the lack of male influence that young men need. Okay? Let me start with this. 1 Corinthians chapter 11. Straight to the point, verse 3, it says, but I would have you know that the head of every man is Hamashiach, the anointed, right? And the head of the woman is the man, and the head of Hamashiach is the Most High God, Yahweh. There's an order that was established that the Heavenly Father set up in the heavens through Yahweh Shai. And the order is at the top. There's the Heavenly Father who created everything and set this whole thing up, and then gave the blueprint to Yahweh Shai to execute it down on the earth. Then it's Yahweh Shai himself. We're talking about that first Adam. It was Yahweh Shai. And then it was the man, and then the woman. And from there, the children. Now, we know that the men should be guiding men how to be men, and the women should be guiding the young daughters how to be young women and to grow to be a wife. Okay? But that's not what's going on in our society. We are completely destroyed as a society. Okay, as a race of people, you Negro, Latino, and Native Americans, you are completely out of order, and our head is out of order. Therefore, our nation is out of order. And you can be like, well, the Latino and Hispanic tribes, they're in some order. They're not in order either. Okay, even that they have a heritage, or I can't even call it that, a resemblance of some type of order in their customs, they're not in complete order. The women are out of order. They talk crazy. But either way, this is a society that everybody should be in order. We were given specific guidelines and rules to be in order. I'm not going to grab it, but in the natural order is I must grab it. Genesis 3:16, unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception. When you bring forth children, it's going to be a very painful thing. And that'll be taken away eventually. But it's a painful thing for now. In sorrow thou shalt bring forth children, and thy desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over thee. Now, how deep does this actually go? It goes deep because the woman is clearly the enemy, as it says in Micah. Micah 7:10, then she that is mine enemy shall see it. And there are women that a lot of us are attached to that are complete enemies to you. And when you really think about it, the female species, because of the curses, which I'm going to get to, that women are our enemy. Why? Because they're not spiritual. They wasn't imparted with, and I'm going to get this as well, Lord willing, they wasn't imparted with wisdom and wisdom and my goodness, knowledge, not knowledge, it was wisdom and I gotta get it. But they wasn't imparted with wisdom. Let's start there. Okay? Let's just start there. So they do things that are not wise. They just do things to be doing things. They treat you like an enemy, like you're on the other team. When you don't see that dynamic in every culture, in every race of people. You see it the most in the so-called blacks and Negroes, then the West Indians and Haitians, you see it in them. Okay, then you begin to see it in the Latino tribes as well. We treat each other like enemies. We are defending ourselves, you know. Women giving men ultimatums, and they gotta be like, if you do that, I'll do this, and it's always a contentious thing going on. Okay, and the other nations look at it and they laugh and they help forward that affliction on us. Okay, and you women bought into it hook, line, and sinker. This is the dynamic you want it to be, like a God ruling, but then you look, and then you look at the world and you look at the incarceration rates, and you start realizing there's a trend. Okay, that a lot of the young youth of our males and girls stir up confusion, for sake of excitement and entertainment. Okay, and what does it end in? Pregnancies and what else? And our young men going to jail, being hell of emotional with masculine testosterone, and when it boils over, it's a recipe for destruction. Okay, fitting right into the game plan, and then you put all types of sugar, chemicals, and caffeine, and all these other chemicals and the stuff that's in the food, and malt liquor and drugs, volatile TV and music, volatile households, where the woman's always argumentative and don't want the men, all kinds of things. The men are out of order. This is what you get. And they can't come to an agreement to be like, hey, let's be reasonable people and raise our children to be God-fearing as we are. And we're so God-fearing, we're going to be in order and find a way to make this thing work. Proving that we're under the curses of why we can't get it done. Okay, so then she that is mine enemy, okay, shall see it, and shame shall cover her. When all this comes to pass, then those that were trying to be the reasonable men, that were trying to do the reasonable thing, the ones that can see it, great. And applaud to you sisters that do believe, and wives that are doing the right thing. Okay, but a lot of you aren't. And then you see the example of other women and you get swayed by it. And then a brother has to cuss you out, a man has to leave you. Then you start seeing how hard it is. And then your pride kicks in. And then you forget what your role is. Well, I got all the roles. Well, your first role was to be obedient to your husband. Okay, and he shall rule over thee, as I was reading in Genesis, the 3rd chapter. Okay, where is the Lord thy God? Mine eyes shall behold her. We're going to look at her like, I tried to tell you, you didn't believe. And a lot of times men just want order and peace, but that's not what women want. When you hop on that carousel, hopping from man to man, you don't have a spirit that can now be comforted, that can now be settled in you with this one man. Now you got to jump around, and this nigga spirit don't like the man you with now spirit, and they got a contentious thing going on because men are territorial. Men get the spirit of jealousy on us, okay, which is written in the scriptures in Numbers, the 5th chapter, and now we're having, we're wrestling with each other, trying to figure out, and it's just not even physically wrestling, it's mentally and emotionally wrestling with one another, okay? It was wisdom and understanding I was thinking of. But yeah, I'm going to get to it, Lord willing. But the point being, all this is happening when it shouldn't even be that way. Men should be thinking clearly and thinking straight. He should have had a stable man to check you. Hey, let me sock you in your chest, pop you upside your head as a youth, so you understand there's consequences to your actions. You can't just react emotionally all out here. Popping their ass and shit, that's some emotional woman shit. She put that in them. To have that song is even tied into a feminine vibration. Okay? Which I didn't play the song, but look at this. What you think he gonna become? That's little E.J. Johnson. For y'all that know who that is. That's an inside joke, but for y'all that know who that is. Okay? And that's not an honor of a man. That's not what a man carries himself, or even a young teenager, jokingly or not. That's not what you do. Okay? I got another scripture. Deuteronomy 22, verse 5. The woman shall not wear that which pertaineth to a man. You shouldn't be wearing I'm saying it in a funny way, so bear with me, but you shouldn't be wearing the pants in the family, man. In the house. A woman shouldn't be wearing the pants in the house. Okay? Let's say that might be what I name this. Women shouldn't be wearing the pants in the house. Okay? It says, neither shall a man put on a woman's garment. Okay, men shouldn't be taking the backseat role. You're supposed to take that foremost role to be in order with the Most High. Okay, being under the order of Yahweh, then under Yahweh Shai, he walked as a man in the way a man should walk. And it was a purpose that he didn't have a woman to collude the way that he was the divine objective that he had to fulfill, the duties he had to fulfill as Yahweh Shai on the earth. Okay, but for us that do have women, and there's a certain way that we have to operate down here, still with him in mind. Straightforward, masculine, but they got these new woke agendas and masculine toxic masculinity and all this extra shit that they got going on. Okay, trying to depopulate and take away, basically the Israelite man, because we have a lot of testosterone and we're masculine especially if we're confident, and they want to break that. Okay, when I say they, I mean the elites that push out all these agendas of how to keep the black man down. But what I'm saying is to keep you in place, to keep you as a slave. And he's using the woman to help keep that in place, because the elites go back to that lie that they told the serpent about, you shall not surely die. But what he did tell him, when the truth in that was that you should be as gods, knowing good and evil, up in earlier in that chapter in Genesis, the 3rd chapter. Okay, and women have been along for that the whole time, and this is it finally playing out all the way. And this is what you get. Then somebody punks the little kid, bullies the kid or something. The kid can't fight because there's no man around. They can't take an insult. They can't take a criticism like women struggle with. Okay, they can't, even if it's constructive. Okay, there really shouldn't be it shouldn't really be destructive criticism without the building up after, but still, okay, they can't take that type of criticism, and so they get emotional, and then they go and try to do something, and somebody comes over the top because somebody with a dad that was abusing them, and they was hitting on them, like physically abusing, I mean, all kinds of things be going on, and then them two clash, and what do you got? Or even the moms abusing them, and they want to be in their masculine energy because they see their daddy on the weekends. They see what a man's supposed to be, and then they struggling with it, and now they got all types of issues. Okay, now them two clash, and then the first one to get a gun wins. Okay, and off the other one. All right, it's a crazy mentality, but this is what you see playing out in modern times. Just keep watching news, breaking the news, and you're going to see this play out over and over and over between the blacks and Hispanics and natives, man. And even just other people in the world growing up under this vibration. Okay? Your way hasn't worked, women. This don't work. Okay? It says, neither should a man put on a woman's garment, shouldn't be in that role, nor be wearing their clothes. Particularly, for all that do so are an abomination, detestable, and sickening to the Heavenly Father, unto the Lord thy God Yahweh. Okay? It's a sickening thing. It's disgusting to see that. Men lining up beards with arched eyebrows and having on a tight shirt and a skirt with a beard. Heavenly Father's disgusted at that. Women coming there sagging, zippers and shit, and playing a man role, getting their voice all deep and shit, and disgusting to the Heavenly Father. All right? Just to make sure I hit that verse properly. Genesis 3:16. Unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception. In sorrow thou shalt bring forth children. And thy desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over thee. He should be ruling over you, guiding you with wisdom and understanding. Let me go to that. With using wisdom and understanding, showing you how, giving you the knowledge of how to apply and use wisdom and understanding. Giving you what the wisdom and what the understanding of something is, and then showing you how to do it. Okay? And then you execute. All right? Just because you can figure out how to do this, that's fine. Continue to do those things. It's not, you're not making you a lesser person because you know how to think for yourself, but you don't know how to think long term with wisdom and understanding. Generally, I'm not talking to you that got it figured out and that are in order, but there's a place for a man to be in order, to guide women, and that's why the creation was set up in that order. Okay, when you read back in the 15th chapter, because it's a certain power that's meant to be in response. Because people still today give Adam the issue in this chapter. Oh, Adam is the women try to put it off on Adam. Where's that video at? Where's that video? Found it.
Ate the apple in the Garden of Eden. He was the one. Adam ate that apple. I am convinced that Adam ate the apple in the Garden of Eden. He was the one to start. He didn't listen. He disobeyed.
Can't make this up. You can't make this up. This is ludicrous. Now we're avoiding biblical responsibility. You can't even make. They're avoiding biblical responsibility over here. Look, there's two ways to look at this, right? Okay, so let's say you are a believer. I'm not one casting stones or nothing, but that's a sin. Like you just tried to rewrite the Bible. You just tried to rewrite the Bible. If you're a believer, you just tried to rewrite the Bible, right? And if you're not a believer and you're saying, oh, I believe Adam did it, you don't even believe it's real. So now you're avoiding biblical fictional responsibility, which is like a whole nother level of crazy. I'm going to say that one more time. If you don't believe in the Bible, right, and it's just a fictional story to you, and then you say, I don't believe Adam did it. What do you mean you don't believe Adam did it? That's like me reading Harry Potter.
He said she actually said she believes Eve didn't do it and Adam did it. So it's on Adam. Okay? That made the situation happen, which I got scriptures. I didn't plan on it, but I'll grab them. Why not?
You're like, I don't think Harry Potter was the boy who lived. What do you mean? What do you mean you don't believe he did it? There's no way you look at this statement and it makes any sense whether you believe it, the Bible, or you don't. It's simply ludicrous. Like
and this guy is you can almost see where he come from. See how the whole wanting to be seen on the internet and go viral, and the whole enthusiasm in his voice is all wrong. Men state facts. Men be like, this is what it is. This is my opinion. Okay, this ain't what it is. Okay, well, this is what I believe. Or, okay, I'm wrong. Okay, and you just kind of move on. Okay, but oh my God, so all this, certain brothers have, can be theatrical and have animation about them. I'm one of them brothers that have animation about me, right? But at the same time, there's a level that as a man you just learn not to cross, man. As you grow up and mature as a man, you be like, it ain't worth that much energy. Things way more importance. Okay? Now he's dragging on, and I don't remember the end of it, but the point's been made. I'm just thinking there might be a little more.
You avoid accountability so hard, you go back to pre-ancient biblical. Like, how do you do that? How do you avoid accountability that hard?
In fact, the nigga wearing a bonnet, okay, is what I just read in Deuteronomy 22nd chapter. Why are you wearing that? Why are you wearing that? Put a wave cap on or wrap something else, nigga. There's something that's created for men that you can be wearing. Okay? I've seen enough of this. Okay, but it goes back to, what did I just watch, right? What the hell did I just watch? Even with the guy. But as she said that, it says right here. Okay? This is the conversation right here. All right? I'm going to go straight to the point. Which I started at 4. And the serpent said unto the woman, ye shall not surely die, which was the lie. For God do know that in the day that ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. And this is the evil. Okay? This is the evil. When the law is written in us and we're perfected with the perfect bodies, that's when you're going to master the good. But you have to have learned, and we have to have learned and went through the evil and the option or in choice, where we get the, even though we're not completely autonomous, okay, but our people still gravitate to choose the evil, to choose the way that is not approved of by the Most High. Okay, it says that when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and it was pleasant to the eyes, and the tree to be desired to make one wise, she took of the fruit thereof, and it wasn't an apple, it was fruit, it was an understanding, it was information, and did eat. It don't say it like that. Come on. And did eat, and also gave unto her husband with her, and he did eat. So they both ate. But she was the one having a conversation that even gathered it when she saw what it was about. I got another one that just goes to that real quick. Sirach 25 and 24. Of the woman came the beginning of sin, and through her we all die. All right? It's in the Apocrypha. 1 Timothy chapter 2, verse 13. For Adam was first formed, then Eve, and Adam was not deceived, but the woman being deceived was in the transgression. Okay? So you can't avoid that. Okay? I just figured I might as well put that little lesson into this one. Okay? But yeah. So that's the whole purpose right there for you. Okay? It shows you can't avoid what the role that you played in this. I'm convinced, and that's one thing. But women act like that. It's a larger consensus than that one woman as the example. That women think like that they ain't did nothing wrong. Right? It says, such is the way of an adulterous woman. She wipeth her mouth and said, I have done no wickedness. That's what they try to do. That's out of Proverbs, I think the 30th chapter, the 20th verse, something like that. Okay? So let's get Job 39, verse 14, which is talking about the woman, right? Liking the woman to an ostrich or a peacock, right? It says, which leaveth her eggs in the earth and warmeth them in the dust, and forgetteth that the foot may crush them. Okay, forgetting that they need the other balance to protect them. Okay? That they need the balance of who they need. They need to learn the ways of women as little girls, they need to know and have an example of a man so they can help choose a man. And then the woman then the boys need an example of a man of how to be a man. Men are integral because they're the connection to the power. And studies have shown, I'm not going to get the statistics now, but the studies have shown that single parenting is statistically better when men do it than women. Okay, the children go to prison a lot. I'm actually gonna Google and see what it say. Let's see.
80% of single parent families.
Okay, it says in the U.S., single mother households vastly outnumber single father households, while single mothers had approximately 80% of single parent families. The number of single father households has been steadily increasing. Let's see. Prevalence. Let's see. Socioeconomic status. Challenges. Single mothers face challenges like financial strain, time management, and the stress of sole parenting. Single fathers, increasing trend. Okay. Cohabitation. Single fathers are more likely to cohabitate with a partner than single mothers for the balance of the children. Okay. Single fathers generally have higher income and are less likely to live below the poverty line compared to single mothers. Key points, family structure. The majority of single parent families are headed by mothers. Changing trends, the number of single father households are growing. Socioeconomic differences. There are notable differences in socioeconomic status and challenges faced by single mothers and single fathers. Let's see. They'll dig into any of them. Let's ask another question. I Googled it, crime rates or criminal rates by single mothers versus criminal rates by single fathers. Since research generally shows a higher correlation between single mother families and increased youth crime compared to single father families. Specifically, studies have indicated that the connection of single mother families can lead to a rise in youth crime rates, while single father families tend to have a neutral or near zero effect. Okay? However, it is important to note that these are correlations and not casual or causal relationships, and other factors like economic disadvantage can play a significant role. Yeah, because you should be working together for the betterment of the children. Meaning, even before that, you should be choosing your partner better. So y'all ain't trying to figure out y'all issues and through arguments and all of that, and then the children suffer. You should be all on one page before the children even come into play, before you even lay down to create children, before all of that. Okay? And it shows right there, Canadian municipalities, we don't really care about way up in Canada, but it still will show. Okay? But yeah, so I mean, it said what it said. All right? And then it's going on in Job 39. Okay? And so you got to be able to, move. I mean, you can watch Boys in the Hood. It showed it. Boys in the Hood was actually like a social documentation of what our families went through. And it was funny, if you watch it, it leads right into Baby Boy. Okay? When you watch them two movies by John Singleton, it plays the whole scenarios out for you. And this is what you see walking around in the street that you have to walk around and operate with around these types of people. Okay? And forgetteth that the foot may crush them. It was just an article. Matter of fact, I may bring it up. That a mother went to the casino. I'm not going to bring it up, but a mother went to the casino and left her kids in the house, her young kids in the house with her older kids. The older kids beat the little kid to death. And as I thought more and more about it, it made you realize the older kids probably just was doing, the mom angry, popping on the kids. Stop doing that. And the kids being children, they don't know. They trying to do kid things, play games and whatever else they doing. And the baby crying and need comforting by a mother. And the kids don't know that the baby hungry or need to be changed. And they too busy doing kid things when the adults should be there. And come home and the kids didn't kill the baby, beat the baby to death, man. Okay? Man, this is what's going on in these times. Okay? What the hell are you going to the casino for? Trying to hit it? Well, social economics. If you had that other partner, if you were more agreeable and more supportive, these things will be lining up in place. What you're bringing to the table and what he brings to the table, somehow, even though we're still on the bottom, somehow just makes it better than you trying to do it alone because you want to have your own thing. And that goes both ways. But it just told you in that article and that AI overview I just read that men tend to go get another woman or another partner to co-parent with. Okay? Trying to make the situation better for the children. All right? Well, women will do it all alone and then have Tom, Dick, and Harry sliding through the back door to ride the carousel. All right? It says, she is hardened against her young ones as though they were not hers. This is what it says in the curses I'm going to read. Her labor is in vain without fear, because the Most High have deprived her of wisdom, neither have he imparted to her understanding. You need the balance of what the man is there. That's why he's there to be the leader, because he has those important leadership qualities, wisdom and understanding. Okay? Most time, and this, like I said, this ain't to belittle women. I'm just pointing out that there's a difference in the roles. There's something in a mother that children always just can be comforted with a calm mother. But if she's erratic, of course they're not going to be calm. But when the mother's being calm and she has a husband that's there and she ain't been all over the place, doing this and that and so on and so forth, hey, the relationship is a calmer situation. That don't mean there's not disagreements and arguments or whatever else, But that is to say, it's more conducive to a relationship that children can thrive and grow in. Okay, that they can take examples of being good, God-fearing young children to grow up to be adults and stable-minded adults. Okay? It's crazy, man. I'm playing it because I want y'all, I'm not even looking at it no more, but y'all want y'all to see it. When you look over and you see it, you can look at the pride in their face, begging for attention. Pride want people to go in the comments, 21,000. Let's see what this say in these comments. Look, people on here crying, man. Sad face times 20. Look, all y'all, I'm finna go kiss my son good night, go up Go downstairs with his father and watch sports. Look, grateful. Look, clowning, man. They know it's wrong to have it that other way. Look, let's see what all them replies are about. Let's see. Hurry up. Okay. So on and so forth, right? My son up under him. Wait, I see. See if they let me read it. How I'm funny. I'm serious. I'm grateful. Your husband keep our son up under him. Me as a woman, I don't even do girly things around my son. If I'm put on makeup to go out, go with your daddy, I don't dance in front of him unless it's 1 step, 2 step, whatever. Certain stuff I'm not with. And that's certain examples. But you see that people have disagreements about it. The whole family need a father. The woman needs another father, and that's what the men become. Okay? Let me go to something else I had on the side. Sirach 4, another verse I was looking for, but I'll start with this. Sirach 4, be a father, in verse 10. Be a father unto the fatherless, and instead of an husband unto the mother. Okay, let's read that in another translation right quick. Sirach chapter 4, verse 10, be like a father to orphans and provide widows with, with the help their husbands can no longer give them. Then you will be like a child of the Most High, and he will love you more than your own mother does. Okay? Wisdom takes care of those who look for her. She raises them to greatness. And it's talking about wisdom, but it's showing you that this is a situation on how this goes down, man. Because what's important, a woman should love her children more than anything. But we just read what it says, and when I get to the curse, you're gonna see it even worse. Okay, let's go to the 7th chapter. Sirach 7, verse 25. 23. If you have sons, educate them, teach them self-discipline while they are young. If you have daughters, keep them virtuous and don't be too indulgent with them. When you give your daughter in marriage, you have finished a great task, but give her to a sensible man, a man that's not sensitive, sensible, one that thinks, that has some understanding, right? If you have a good wife, do not divorce her, but do not trust yourself to someone you don't love. Woo, yeah, okay. So that's just giving you something in itself right there. All right, but it's important how you guide these children. This is an instruction for men, okay, on how you do things. This is an instruction for men. All right. Deuteronomy 28. Here's the curse right here. Verse 55. So that he will not give to any of them of the flesh. Let me jump down. This is talking about men as well. So let's read the full curse. 54. So that the man that is tender among you and very delicate, his eye shall be evil toward his brother and toward the wife of his bosom. So men ain't right either. Okay? Because you wouldn't leave. But in this society, as a man, I understand why you leave. Because what's gonna happen? It's gonna be worse. A lot of, as it says in First Esdras, the 4th chapter, a lot of men are going out of their wits and been sinned and died for women's sake. A lot of men are locked up in prison right now for following, trying to obtain or follow or covet for things for a woman. Okay, trying to achieve things for women. Okay, and thinking like this is what I want, but you don't know what you need. I know what you need because I'm got my mind on what the Creator set up for us to want and need. Okay, as a man, it says, his brother and toward the wife of his bosom and toward the remnant of his children which he shall leave, so that he will not give to any of them the flesh of his children, whom he shall eat. Talking about cannibalism. Okay, no different than the eggs in the dust. You let them to be destroyed, but they're physically gonna perform cannibalism. That he have nothing left in the siege and in the straightness wherewith thine enemies shall distress thee in all thy gates. Okay, the tender and delicate woman among you, which would not adventure to set the sole of her foot upon the ground for delicateness and tenderness, talking about the Israelite woman, her eyes shall be evil toward the husband of her bosom, and toward her son, and toward her daughter, and toward her young one that cometh out from between her feet, and toward her children which she shall bear. And that's against nature. But that still happens. This is destroying these children, these young men. She's destroyed. She's through. She's finished. Okay? And now she's emasculating them, effeminizing them. Okay? And proud of it. And a lot of people and women on the internet will clap it up. There's some that I kind of skimmed through some of the comments, and they're sad about it because it's a sad thing. But look how they don't know no better. It should be a man to try to break that situation and show her how to walk the right way. For whatever the situation was, whether they had a disagreement or the husband is dead and she couldn't find nobody else or whatever, it should be a simple fix to this of someone being able to guide. It should be a father around if he's not around or he's dead or whatever. It should be an uncle. If there's none of that, there a pastor. If there's none of that, a neighbor. Another man, in today's time, has no problem dealing with another woman. Okay, and she don't look ugly off the top. I mean, when you look at her physically, but when you start getting into, a lot of women look good on the outside, but when you start getting into their head, man, you start seeing how the ugliest creatures, man. Okay, and the boys grow up to have them ugly features inside them, but it's what's the word? It's multiplied by the masculinity in you. Okay? It says testosterone. It says for she shall eat them for one of all things secretly in the siege and straightness, talking about cannibalism, wherewith thine enemies shall distress thee in thy gates. So she gonna do the same thing. People don't care about their kids. That's why this whole Hebrew Israelite thing is to turn that around, and it's rooted in works of the law, but you got to rehearse these things in faith and understanding. Okay? So you got to understand what the purpose is. You can't be like, well, this is what you shouldn't be doing. That's going to get your children or yourself in trouble in society. But you still got to guide them children to be upstanding, God-fearing young children in order. All right? Isaiah 3:12, as for my people, children are their oppressors, and women rule over them. Children are their oppressors. That's not talking about your children. That's talking about a significant, insignificant, or less significant race of people are your oppressors. Okay, the heathen, particularly the Edomites right now. Okay, O my people, they which lead thee cause thee to err and destroy the way of thy paths. And that's why it says in Jeremiah, the 6th chapter, ask for the old path, wherein is the good way. Okay, that's what we want. We want the old path when the men got at the house, and men ruled over the house, or the people in the house. Women got at the house and the family, and things ran in order. Okay, the men were devoted because the woman took care of the house. Men were devoted in providing and in the connection to the Most High through Yahweh Shai. That's the way we need. Okay? And it doesn't go back that much farther, even though they had a different God. They had the white Jesus or whoever they may have had at the time. But you go back to when we actually in the early to mid 1900s, and you see families were in order and were thriving as a cultural moral norm. Okay, things were still often skewed. Let's not mistake that, but it was far better than what it is now. Okay, and in when you look up the statistics, single parent homes, especially single mother homes, has increased since them times. And as it's increased, the demoralization and degeneracy of our people has increased. Okay, so I end with this chapter here, Sirach the third, unless something else comes to mind. But Sirach 3:1, it says, "Hear me, your father, O children, and do thereafter, that ye may be safe. For the Lord Yahweh hath given the father honor over the children, and hath confirmed the authority of the mother over the sons." Okay, but the guidance still comes from the mind of the father, and the mother's following along with that. "Whoso honoreth his father maketh an atonement for his sins. And he that honoreth his mother is as one that layeth up treasure." Okay, to show you how you should be as a son, the angle of a son to your parents, right? And we know that's in the 10, going into that. "Honor thy father and thy mother all the days of thy life," right? "Whoso honoreth his father shall have joy of his own children, and when he maketh his prayer, he shall be heard." Right? "He that honoreth his father shall have a long life," and you can't tell me that them kids don't hate their daddy, man. They probably secretly don't, but they probably been inbred with the idea that their daddy was just not a no good nigga. A lot of young men grew up with that ideal. Then they turn around, they get to a certain age, then they start to see how their mother act, and they didn't see how these fast ass girls didn't act it growing up, and then they actually meet their daddy, and they're like, oh. And they may not. He probably still had his own problems and issues, like I was highlighting in the curses. He's still under the curses as well. Okay, he still ain't got his shit together, you know. Unless you start getting to this truth, then you have you grow and you get your priorities together. Okay, but outside of that, you know, you still see that your dad wasn't the villain your mom painted him out to be. Solely the villain, and she was the princess that needs to be rescued by somebody. Okay, it was usually something that transpired between the two, and she could have prevented and been obedient to his way and made it work. I mean, that's not every case. Sometimes just some no good ass niggas out there. Hispanic niggas, white niggas, whatever. Jake's out there. All right? It says, "He that honoreth his father shall have a long life, and he that is obedient unto the Lord shall be a comfort to his mother." He didn't say obedient to his mother. He said obedient to the Lord shall be a comfort to his mother. "He that feareth the Lord will honor his father, and will do service unto his parents as to his masters. Honor thy father and mother both in word and deed, that a blessing may come upon thee from them. For the blessing of the father establisheth the houses of children, but the curse of the mother rooteth out foundations." Okay, and that was the main point that I grabbed this for, but this chapter holds some good meat in it. Since I'm tapping into both sides and I'm showing you the different angles, okay, a man will come in there and push them sons, smack them sons upside the head. What the hell y'all doing? Hey, what is you teaching them? That ain't how you act. That's how girls act. Okay? And I don't care if this video makes it or don't. Hey, man, right is right, man, according to the Most High. It's better to obey the Most High than man. All right? He created you to be a certain buzzword gender, but hey, when you were created to be that, you got to live that out. Okay? And it's just demons on you trying to be something else. Anyway, it says, "Glory not in the dishonor of thy father, for thy father dishonor is no glory unto thee. For the glory of the father is, for the glory of a man is from the honor of his father. The water to my father, for him being in Israel and doing his best with me." Okay, I got to pick it up from here. Now I got to do with my children and my sons in the same way. All right, and a mother in dishonor is a reproach to the children. Okay, so you see this all playing out, man. Okay, you see the dishonor and all that. You see all this playing out. Okay, the curses are real. The scriptures are real. And we need to adjust ourselves to be in line with the righteousness of the scriptures and not being examples unto the wickedness and the disobedience of our people according to the scriptures. Okay? So Lord, what is that if I'm giving all praise and glory to Yahweh, Bashim Yahshua, until the next one, Shalom.